In the orange shirt, why not?
Didn't think of the reason, but I think it won't help.
Okay. Blue in the back, why not? You?
I think it will make people lazy and they will not move.
Couldn't be bothered.
Be obese and so on. A lot of health problems.
Why not?
Some people can look after you and they can find you and do with you some things, and the police can arrest you because you're writing some things about the crime, about the government, and they can read all.
So people might be scared to say what they think. Yeah? That's a really good point. It's a very good point. Sorry.
Well, I give several reasons. One of them is that it becomes more anti-social networks because you don't get social in real life, rather than staying just chatting with people who you don't really know and you will never meet, and they can be not
Facebook friends.
Yeah,
I've never met them.
You never meet them, and they may be what they not really is, because they say that they're 15, but they're actually 40, and they're bald and they're fat. Or sadly, they just you just don't move at all, and you just stay at home rather than go out with friends.
You don't care anymore. Yeah, well, you.
For me, I think it's I wrote that social networks are really helpful in holding contact with people. Also, yes, when people have connection with each other, it's much easier to spread important information, like political news, especially if it's important information like conflicts between different countries or regions of the country. And when, especially the government of the country is trying to falsificate this information and
propaganda.
Yeah.
Who can remember the Arab Spring 3 years ago? Remember hearing about that, the Arab Spring? When a lot of North African and sort of Middle Eastern countries, when they overthrew their governments. Yeah, Egypt, where else was there? Libya originally. Algeria didn't really affect, but that's having an impact there now. The thing that really got that going was actually social media, because people could communicate with everyone. You know, you and I can actually, if we've got a good story to tell, get the whole message out there.
Especially, I think that there could be a good reasons for starting that company and spreading the info by social networks. But there could be bad reasons for that. For and against. For reasons are that you can spread it with lots of people. Nearly 40% of people in the world are using social networks, so they're just listing their news feed and they can see this new news. They can see your post. They can see your
privacy issue. Boy behind you.
Actually, the biggest problem is that when you are writing in social networks, when you meet the person, somebody in person, you can connect. You can even connect to words.
Right.
It's really hard.
Okay.
You can lose the possibility to speak. It's the biggest problem.
That's possibly true. This is really interesting. It's been all of the boys that have spoken so far, and we all know that the girls use this much more than the boys do. So let's hear from some of the girls. What did you think?
I think if we turn the usage of the social networks in the right way, so we can get something very, very important for us, and that will help us.
Yeah, okay. What did you think? Yeah.
To my mind, social networks are very helpful because I know some stories when people met each other they were from different countries and they became best friends, they found their love.
It opens the possibilities.
Yes, and they are happy.
Go behind you in the white. What did you think?
So I think that social media will have to have less crime in the world because
monitor.
Yeah,
Big Brother.
internet,
Yeah?
games,
Or some governments that we know.
Yeah.
Okay, couple more. Yeah?
I think that the problem of social networks are trolls. Because,
That's right,
a lot of
yeah.
people are giving you
Yeah.
wrong information.
Identity threat, identity theft. Yeah? That sort of thing? Yeah?
The trollers which are lucky to control you and giving you wrong information to others, it's bad.
Yeah? Or you just playing with your pen. Okay. Just think back to the question again. This is a great question because there's no right or wrong answer. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. What did the question say?
What the human
The rise in social media, or the rate of increase of social media, will be of great benefit to, greatly beneficial to human rights. Now, one central argument is, of course, if we see an injustice somewhere, an abuse of human rights, we can let the world know really quickly. Yeah, that's one side of it.
Yeah.
I want to do a little experiment. Everyone, I want you all really loudly to say your own names when I count to 3. On the count of 3, shout out at the top of your voice your own names, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Right. Did anyone hear anyone else?
Yes.
Yeah?
Like car.
Can anyone see the point I'm trying to make here? On the
Yeah.
one hand,
Yeah.
we can all shout out loud when we see a great injustice.
Yeah.
But what happens when everyone's shouting at the same time?
We don't hear
We don't hear anything. It's just noise. And this is something that you guys in your generation, you guys need to be careful of. Yeah? Because I know you do it. You sit there with your phones or on your iPads or laptops at home, chatting to people you've never met about all sorts of stupid stuff. What really matters? Now, it's great. Of course, it's fantastic. It means you can make friends from all around the world. Yeah? That's great. That's fantastic. I use it. It's great. But just be careful. Yeah? Because if we're always responding to the noise that's thrown at us, when do we take time to actually think ourselves and make our own decisions or choose what we hear? And this is one of the real dangers with things like Facebook. You know, it's like, get up in the morning, check your Facebook or whenever on the bus on the way to school, and the news feed's this long. So you read out, you find out what everyone else around the world's been doing while you've been asleep. And no one heard the news this morning. No one knows what's actually really going on, really knows. You know, do you take the time to go and look for your own information rather than getting it chucked at you? So in terms of the question, it's great. It's a fantastic opportunity to call out injustice, like the Arab Spring. That was brilliant. That was wonderful what happened there. They've got a long way to go because, of course, new democracies don't happen overnight. You know, it's chaotic. It's a chaotic process. And it will take decades for that to work through. It's better than a dictator, but it's crazy. You know, look at Libya and Syria. You know, it's scary. The other side is, if everyone's just shouting at each other, what do we really hear? So you've got to choose. You've got to choose for yourselves what you pay attention to. Don't be fed by Facebook. Don't be fed by the news. I was in, I'm not sure, some of you might know this, Business Link was going to have a fair here back in, at the end of February. Unfortunately, it had to get cancelled because of the trouble. Yeah? And so we were here, we left on the Thursday when it got really bad. And so I had a few days to spare, basically. So I went back to London and I was working out of a hotel room. And of course, you know, Ukraine was a top story all around the world. And because I was in a hotel room, it was great because you have news channels from all around the world. So for the 2 days, I listened to the BBC, I listened to CNN, I listened to France 24, I listened to Euronews, I listened to the main German news, I listened to Russia Today, and I listened to Al Jazeera. I kid you not, okay, the BBC and CNN, they were similar in how they were conveying what was happening. Now bear in mind, 3 days earlier, I was here. You know, I was down at Medan when it happened. I saw it all. I knew what had happened. But for these 6 or 7 different news channels, okay, BBC and CNN were quite similar. The story that was coming across was so different. They might have been talking about different things, but they weren't. They were talking about the same thing. So, 2 points. Choose what you listen to and think about what you listen to. Because every bit of media has a bias. Now, of course, Russia today was explaining the Russian case. Of course, BBC and CNN was making the Western case. Interestingly, France and Germany, a little bit different. Because Germany in particular, a lot of economic ties with Russia. You know, Western beliefs, of course, and sort of want Ukraine to become part of the EU. Economically, not so clear cut. So they were kind of in the middle. And you could see this come through in the stories. It's quite simply propaganda. And that's in the media that gets checked by society. Facebook, don't get checked out. So just be careful. Be careful what you listen to, choose what you listen to, and think about what you take as fact. And that's the end of today's lesson. Thank you all so much for coming, guys. Good luck. We're going to have a Q&A session now. Some of your parents have got more questions that way.